In class, Jessie dozed off for just a sec, but in that moment, she ran straight into the dream demon. Terrified, she jumped up and ran out of the classroom. But when she burst through the door, she found herself back in the same room. The sight was so horrifying, she soaked her diaper. The demon raised his steel claws and walked toward her. Damn! Luckily, Jessie jolted away, sweating and shaking. Her classmates stared at her like she was crazy. She laughed nervously and said, "Sorry." But then, she noticed something strange. A chunk of her hair, cut clean, had landed on her notebook. That night, afraid the demon might return, she asked her boyfriend to stay over. But in the middle of the night, she was woken by the sound of the family dog barking. Not wanting to wake her boyfriend, she went out to check alone.
Rufus, get in here!
The dog didn't respond. She had a bad feeling. Then she saw it. Her dog lying in a pool of blood. Jessie screamed and ran back toward the house. But once inside, she realized something was wrong. It wasn't her house. It looked like a daycare center. Before she could process what was happening, a little girl appeared. The girl silently took Jessie's hand and led her forward. It was like the demon had been expecting her.
Ready or not, here I come.
It was just another nightmare. Relieved, she looked at her boyfriend still sleeping. She got up and went to the bathroom to wash her face. But just as she relaxed, ready to go back to bed, it was like she was possessed. She kicked her boyfriend off the bed. Then, her body floated into the air. It twisted 180 degrees.
Oh my God. Wait it!
A pregnant black woman smiled and greeted a white girl. But the girl's mother responded with a cold, mocking remark.
That coloured woman bothering you again, Sylvie?
She lowered her head, too used to the sting of discrimination to respond. No matter where she went, she was judged, just because of her skin color. After the checkup, Jenny quietly asked the nurse, "Can I give birth at home?" The next day, the nurse came to her house to see if it was safe for a home delivery. But when she opened the door, she was stunned. The tiny room, barely 100 square feet, was packed with 6 people. Even her husband's cousin lived there.
Into tapeworms of our own. It's just not that easy to find them that will rent us. The colour miss. Oh.
As she was about to leave, a neighbor pulled her aside.
I want you to come to us first. When you come out here.
I don't quite follow.
When you do your home visits.
And when you say first?
Before what's her face? The coloured girl.
And why's that?
Well, we're vulnerable, ain't we? At this late stage, we could go down with all sorts. You know what they bring in with them, and it ain't just banana spiders. Just ignorant not to mention it.
The nurse felt a pang of frustration, but she nodded politely. One day, that same neighbor was hanging laundry on the balcony. She slipped and almost fell, only to be caught at the last moment by Jenny. The woman looked embarrassed. They started chatting, little by little, the tension easing. Jenny thought, maybe she was finally being accepted. But just then, another white neighbor appeared. The woman's smile vanished instantly. She said nothing more. Jenny turned away, holding back tears. That day, the nurses were having a small party. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Jenny, her voice shaking, but the nurse who answered was an older woman. "I'm sorry," she replied coldly. "Bookings are full." The call ended. Just then, the neighbor saw her and snapped at her daughter. "Don't go near her." But the next moment, Jenny's water broke. At that instant, something shifted. The woman, a mother herself, dropped her prejudice. She rushed to Jenny's side, held her up, and called for her husband to guide Jenny toward the hospital. But they hadn't gotten far when Jenny collapsed, crying out.
She simply said hello to a white girl, but was met with a cold reaction from the girl's mother.
That coloured woman bothering you again, Sylvie?
She lowered her head and stayed silent. Wherever she went, she felt like she didn't belong. The nurse, seeing her situation, gently suggested she could give birth at home. But no one expected her living space to be so cramped and messy. Because of financial struggles, 6 people were living in a room barely 10 square meters. It was clearly not a safe place to give birth.
Into tapeworms of our own. It's just not that easy to find them that will rent us. The colour miss. Oh.
On her second visit, Jenny brought her a bouquet of flowers. The kind gesture warmed her heart. Jenny told her, "If you ever need me, I'll be there, rain or shine." But just as Jenny stepped outside, a neighbor stopped her with a cold look. Jenny said a few polite words and quickly left. A few days later, she suddenly went into labor. She tried calling the birthing center, but couldn't get through no matter how hard she tried. She knocked on her neighbor's door for help. The neighbor's daughter gently helped her up. But just then, the mother came home. Seeing her daughter helping the woman, she rushed over and pulled her her away. But right at that moment, her water broke. The neighbor froze, then made a decision. She set her judgment aside and helped her toward the birth center, ignoring the gossip around them. Along the way, she offered words of comfort. They held hands tightly and walked a long way together. When they finally reached the center, she collapsed at the door from exhaustion. Thankfully, Jenny heard the commotion and rushed out. Together, they helped her inside.
Good girl. Keep going. Good, really good.
Perfect.
You have a beautiful baby boy.
Welcome to England, little one.
The French queen is giving birth, but the bedside was surrounded by nobles. They are not here to help, but to ensure that the baby's bloodline is not problematic. Prevent someone from stealing the dragon and turning it into a phoenix. At this moment, what people are most concerned about is the gender of the child, because it concerns everyone's future. In the crowd, only her husband Louis was truly worried about her. With a painful cry from Mary, the child was born. The crisp crying immediately caught everyone's attention. Everyone is watching whether it's a boy or a girl. But Louis didn't take care of the children. His attention is entirely focused on his wife. She fainted without any reaction. Louis kept calling her name. Upon seeing this, Yolanda could only resort to extraordinary measures. Under the intense pain, Mary finally woke up. Her first reaction was to take care of the child. She doesn't care if the child is a girl or not. I just want to hug my own child. She leaned in Louis's arms, her expression calm. But the royal relatives next to him were displeased. They are well aware that girls cannot inherit the throne. The Prime Minister wants to remind them of the responsibility of the royal family. Just as he opened his mouth, he was stopped by Yolanda. Now is not the time to talk about these things. Mary's family is also dissatisfied. Her brother also sneered. Did Mary intentionally confront her mother? Even on the day of the princess's baptism, Mother sent another letter urging, "Don't waste any more time. I can't wait 8 years to see the results again." These words weighed heavily on Mary's heart like stones. Make her unable to breathe. Louis never blamed her. Instead, they show respect and care. This gave her a slight sense of comfort. Even if it's sad, she must also maintain the dignity of the queen.
I've never seen a student like this. The teacher is giving a lecture up front, and he's sitting in the back giggling and making squeaky noises. The teacher tells him to be quiet, but not long after, he starts throwing paper balls on the floor.
Pick it up.
He barely sits down again, and he deliberately blows his nose loudly, causing the whole class to burst into laughter. This time, the teacher has had enough. He tells him to get out.
I said, get out.
You kidding me?
Come here, let me take a look at that.
In the end, this PE teacher named White was fired for using violence in the classroom. With a bad reputation, no top school was willing to hire him. Only a high school in a poor southern town in America, called McFarland, took him in. What he saw shocked him. Thomas was running at 19 kilometers per hour. That's about 1.6 kilometers every 5 minutes. For comparison, even the best marathon runners average only 1.7 kilometers every 5 minutes. And Thomas had no professional training, no real equipment. White suddenly realized these kids weren't meant for football. Their true strength was running. But he soon realized this town wasn't as simple as he thought. The first day of practice, 3 of the students didn't even show up.
Where are the Diaz's?
Out.
Out, what do you mean out?
Out, like, off the team.
What? Says who?
This is their father, who's also their foreman.
The woman was shocked to find out she was pregnant with a stranger's baby. She immediately went to find the man and said,
I'm pregnant.
Fuck off.
What? I'm pregnant?
With emotion?
With a baby. You're the father.
I'm the father.
Yes.
How could this happen?
I don't know.
It all started that night when they met by chance at a bar. After a few drinks, Annie brought the man back to her place. They spent the whole night together, but when she woke up the next morning, she instantly regretted it. His chubby, out-of-shape body made her feel like she had been taken advantage of. 2 months later, while Annie was at work, she suddenly started throwing up. At first, she thought she just had some bad food, but a co-worker jokingly said,
I hope you're not pregnant.
Possible you have to have sex to get pregnant.
BK!
She and Jack hadn't used any protection that night, and she hadn't had her period all month. Her sister guessed she was probably pregnant. Annie took several pregnancy tests. Every single one came back positive. Panicked and unsure what to do, she decided to meet Jack again. Together, they went to the hospital for a checkup. The ultrasound confirmed the baby was already 8 weeks old, with a heartbeat. Seeing the tiny life inside her, Annie was overwhelmed with emotion.